Hello students, welcome back. So now here in the video we will be talking about the algebra related to complex numbers, or rather I would say algebraic expressions or operations on complex numbers. So what we do here is we are going to basically talk about the addition, subtraction, multiplication and division between two complex numbers. So let us say that z1 equal to a1 plus I b1 and z2 equals to a2 plus I b2 be two complex numbers. And here we want to add the two complex numbers. So we are basically discussing about the addition of two complex numbers. So let us say if we want to add two complex numbers, we say z1 plus z2. Let us assign it another variable z. So z is equals to z1 plus z2. So what this will give us? This will give us a1 plus ib1 plus a2 plus ib2. So clearly here for these two complex numbers there are two real parts and two imaginary parts. So if we bring together the real parts, we will have a1 plus a2 in one bracket, and then we have plus I times b1 plus b2 plus the other bracket. So we have in this manner added two complex numbers. So for example, if suppose we have a complex number z1 equal to 1 plus I and another complex number is say z2 equals to 1 minus 1 plus 4i, and we want to add z1 and z2. So what we basically have to do is we will write 1 plus I plus 1 plus 4i. Then we will bring together the real terms, that is 1 plus 1, and then we will take I common from the imaginary parts and we are left with 1 plus 4. So that gives us the answer as 2 plus 5i as the sum of two complex numbers. So this is the addition between two complex numbers. Now similarly, if we talk about the subtraction part, we understand that subtraction is similar to that of addition, and again if we have two complex numbers, let us say z1 equal to a1 plus ib1 and z2 is say equal to a2 plus ib2. So from here we can write, if we want to subtract two complex numbers z1 and z2, we will write it as a1 plus ib1 minus a2 plus ib2. Now clearly students, real parts will be subtracted and we will have a1 minus a2 in bracket, and then if we take I common from the other two terms, we will have b1 minus b2. So in this manner we have done the subtraction of two complex numbers. Now third, coming to multiplication. So multiplication is also easy, similar to that of addition and subtraction. So let us say we have two complex numbers z1 equal to a1 plus ib1 and z2 equal to a2 plus ib2. Now if we want to multiply these two complex numbers z1 into z2, so we can write it as a1 plus ib1 into a2 plus ib2. Now here, how does the multiplication take place? We normally multiply this as by expansion method. So we multiply a1 to a2 first, then we multiply a1 to ib2, then ib1 is multiplied to a2, and then ib1 is multiplied to ib2. So from here, if we carry out the simplification, we have a1 a2 first, then we have plus I times a1 b2, then we have plus I times a2 b1, and then we have plus I square times b1 b2. But clearly students, we understand that I square is minus 1, so this can be written as a1 a2 plus I times a2 b1 plus I times a1 b2. I have written the two terms opposite in the opposite order, so just don't be confused about it. Now I square, students, is actually minus 1, so we can write a minus here and we can say this is minus of b1 b2. So if we bring together the real terms, which are a1 a2 and minus b1 b2, we are left with a1 a2 minus b1 b2. So this is the real part. Plus, if we take I common from the leftover terms, we are left with a1 b2 plus a2 b1. So in this manner, we have multiplied the two complex numbers. Not at all that difficult, and you can simply do it by yourself. Now moving on. So after multiplication, we will do division. So how do we do division? So let me just write down the two complex numbers first. So we have, let us say, two complex numbers z1 equal to a1 plus ib1, and the second complex number is z2 equal to a2 plus ib2. Now if we want to divide the two complex numbers z1 upon z2, we know we can write it as a1 plus ib1 by a2 plus ib2. So what to do in this case? Now here what we do is, here there is a trick, there is a method. First of all, we look at the denominator and then we change the sign of the complex part, that is the imaginary part. So if we have a2 plus ib2, we will take another complex number a2 minus ib2 and we will multiply and divide here. So a2 minus ib2 we have taken and we have multiplied and divided in the numerator and denominator. So in this manner, basically what we have done is, we have two complex numbers in the numerator and 2 in the denominator. So if we expand the two, this is a1 plus ib2 ib1 into a2 minus ib2, and this divided by a2 plus ib2 into a2 minus ib2. So here, first of all, let us look at the denominator. So here it is a plus b into a minus b. So we can easily use the formula a square minus b square. So if we write the denominator first, this becomes a2 square minus I square, which will become plus, and then we have b2 square. So this is the denominator, and in the numerator we will have a1 a2, then we will have plus b1 b2, and so this is the real part. And if you look at the imaginary part, it is b1 a2 minus a2 minus a1 b2. So this is the imaginary part. So what we have done is, we have written the complex number in a simplified manner, and if we split the terms here, we have a1 a2 plus b1 b2 upon a2 square plus b2 square. So this is the real part of the complex number z1 upon z2, and the imaginary part is b1 a2 minus a1 b2 upon a1 square a2 square plus b2 square. So in this manner we have done the division of two complex numbers. So that is all in this video, dear students. I hope you now understand how to add, subtract, multiply and divide two complex numbers.